Good afternoon, everybody. It's Donovan with the Out of Rhythm Fantasy Sports coming at you on Wednesday, January 31st. It is midday on a beautiful Wisconsin 44-degree Wednesday here. So today I'd like to get into some shortstops. Keep in mind a few things as we get moving on here that I'm tying in anybody who's shortstop eligible. So it kind of skews things a little bit as how some of the other sites are doing only shortstop. So like presuming that we'll just use Gunnar Henderson will only play shortstop. Well, this year on NFBC and Fantrax he has third base eligibility, so that's why I'm going to put him at both and discuss that with you. Also, that all of my projections and rankings right now are based off of equal playing time. And so these are more performance potential, not so much actual 100% numbers, but if everything goes right, this is what could happen. If everything was the same, this is what could happen. And I'll modify these slightly, but realistically, the numbers that I come up with in my projections and the ongoing ADPs and rankings, they're pretty close. So as of right now, this is where I'm at in my process, but I just like to share this information with everybody to know, to see a little bit on how I look at players going into the season and who I'm willing to take a shot on, as opposed to do I just go standard quo? Because if you're taking people at peak projections, you have a higher risk for failure than if you're grabbing that upside sometimes. But no, as I build my teams, I do find myself being more risk adverse early. And then as we get into some of these later rounds, that's where I'm going to reach a little further for some of these other players that may have the opportunity to fill in some, near full season numbers and have that potential, have shown that potential to put up, top 20, 15 type numbers. So, and then there's other players that, again, if they're projected at the max already, or what could be, a high level, that's a higher bar to reach. So I'm going to start here with my banner on the bottom. If you're watching on the YouTube, I have a little bit of recent news from the last few days scrolling on the bottom for you to read. If you're catching this in the audio form, well, you've probably already heard it from other sites, but I'll touch on some of the things in the banner as we go. Especially one, because we've already covered second base, would be the Jorge Polanco trade to the Mariners. I know I had talked about him being a person who I was interested in as a later round option. I had him at the time. Polanco was going 24th overall for second base eligible players at about pick 274. And I was willing to take him as my 14th second baseman. And that was based off of opportunity. And so much like I just talked on, he now has this opportunity to become the 14th, best or better second baseman. So I am not taking him at 274. You're still going to see him. He might have a little hype. So you're still going to see him go right around that Jonathan India 220 probably area, if not maybe a little higher. If Luis Arias goes, I'll take Jorge Polanco right after, because those two I have on totally opposite ends of the spectrum here. So Luis Arias is not going to probably have a 354 batting average or whatever he finished with last year. Probably like a 320, which is still great. But I just think the overall production from Jorge Polanco across the 5 categories is going to be higher for Jorge Polanco. So that's just some recent news here. And for now, I'd like to get digging into these shortstops for everyone. So pulling the ADP from NFBC for the last month on 12-team drafts, there were 124 12-team drafts in NFBC format. And so the top players are Bobby Witt Jr. at number 1. Trey Turner is the second shortstop, followed by Corey Seager, Ellie De La Cruz, and Francisco Lindor. Then 6 through 10 is Gunnar Henderson, Bo Bichette, CJ Abrams, Nico Horner, and then 10th is Matt McLain. And you know my thoughts if you listen to the second base episode about Matt McLain. I actually, if you have him at second base or first base, Matt McLain still to me has that potential to be the number 1 overall in these formats. Now, I think Bobby Witt's probably, this is just a projection tool, numbers that I put in a system, formulas that I put into a system, right? So like the system says Matt McLain could finish higher than Bobby Witt. Is it likely? I don't know. We already saw it from Bobby Witt. So Bobby Witt's probably still the safer. I'm not taking Matt McLain first, in the first round, but I am pushing him a lot higher than his current, probably 59th overall. I'll take him a little higher. Then 11 through, we'll just go through 15 here. Oneil Cruz, Ha-Sung Kim, Xander Bogaerts, Dansby Swanson, and then Anthony Volpe as the 15th overall shortstop being taken. And number 16, Styro Estrada, just because I like him. I'll probably take him ahead of Volpe, but let's get into some of the numbers here. So we'll start first. We're going to put this up here for everybody on YouTube. If I can get it to work. 1 second, please. There we go. So we'll start first with my players who I'll probably move up. A little bit of a reach here. If you're watching on YouTube, again, you have, you'll see my chart here, my graphics. So first one we'll talk about is Oneil Cruz. I think he's pumping up a little bit. In the early drafts, you saw him a little lower, and now he's up to 77th, we'll say, overall. That's maybe not quite high enough. I think 77th puts him at, we'll say the third tier. I'd have him moved up a little bit because of, his historical numbers, his historical performances. We saw, his rookie season, he came in 87 games and hit 17 home runs and stole 10 bases. Stolen bases are probably not going to return quite. Maybe if he gets a full season, he'll have 10. With the injury that he suffered last year, I just don't see them risking another injury on that, on the ankle. So power should be okay. He's had a long time to recover. I just think they'll be more cautious with him on the base paths. That said, he is slated to bat leadoff for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Not a great squad, right? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's 100% fully healed and those stolen bases could be back. If he has a full season, looking at my projections, if he is able to get a full season around there, easily 26 home runs, 20 stolen bases, if he's running. So that's the only caveat. I don't have a firm grip on his batting average. Through the 9 games he played last year, he was batting .250. I think he's probably more of a .240 tops batting average guy. So we'll see on that. Not a high walk, so hopefully he has a little plate discipline. But currently going 11th, I have him my 7th ranked shortstop, so I will bump him up in that crop of that second tier, taking him, just pushing him up there. I'd probably move out like a Nico Horner and a CJ Abrams and put Oneil Cruz up there. Dansby Swanson, currently going 14th overall in NFBC. I have him as my 10th, and that's based, on a few things, right? His history, number one overall, and then the coaching change there with stealing my Craig Counsell from the Brewers, going there. The Cubs are probably going to be a lot more aggressive. They have a good deal of speed out there to utilize, and then that philosophy of taking bases when we can. Sorry about that. I'm gonna shut that noise down. Stealing bases when they can should be, a little more high potent offense than years past. So they're bringing in a lot of tools there, and we're going to see a different Cubs, unfortunately, for the Brewers. So Dansby Swanson last year, 22 home runs, 9 stolen bases. I would probably put him at around the same spot. Only I have his projections at 11 stolen bases. I think he could get, easily 15, 16, 17, somewhere in that range. So I have him. And, again, if you listen to some of my former podcasts, I like the contributors in all categories type mentality. Dansby's batting average is a little low, but he gives me some stolen bases, some home runs. He'll have the RBI and the runs to support. He's batting 5th, so maybe his runs will be down, I guess, but his RBI opportunities should be up. So give and take. And that lineup is definitely not set in stone as of yet. So we'll see some changes there as well as the year goes on. Next is Jeremy Pena, currently slated to bat 8th in the Astros lineup, which doesn't sound great. It probably keeps him under that, around 600, maybe under 600 plate appearances. But looking at, I have him projected at 585 plate appearances, 14 home runs and 12 RBI. Last year he had 10 home runs and 13. I'm sorry, I said RBI, stolen bases, 12 stolen bases. Last year was 10 home runs and 13 stolen bases. Now his RBI will probably be way down in that 8th spot, but his runs are likely going to creep up a little bit as that lineup turns over and you go through the meat of that Houston Astros order. If he's able to get on early in an inning, and that lineup's able to change over, you could see his runs staying in that 80, 81 area where he was last year, even from that 8th spot. So I have him at a 260 batting average, so it's not going to kill you. I think that's a solid player. He should be the everyday shortstop. And currently going 22nd, I have him as my 16th value area. So that's somebody I would take a little higher than his current 227 ADP as well. Probably ahead of a Willie Adames, Trevor Story area, somewhere in there, but just ahead of those guys probably. And then this is more of a deep type option. And we have a small sample size for Leover Peguero. Last year, he had 59 games, 7 home runs and 6 stolen bases. So not a too shabby from the young player like that. And another guy who's going to bat 8th, and probably they're going to give a good look to. So if he's able to stick in that lineup all year, again, I don't know where his runs are going to be. Probably in the 50s, probably 50 runs only, but a late guy to fill. If you have a deep league, if you're in a 15 team, you could see the potential for like a 15-15 type player here. That's gonna give you some value late. He's going pick 500 overall, so he's probably like a last stab at it, and a guy you can turn over, but just to keep an eye on in case you need some a chance at a stolen base or just some extra pop for a middle infielder as you get injuries throughout the season. So just a guy to flag is Leover Peguero. So now we'll switch on here to my holds, my weights. So this is probably going to be a little hated, I guess, is I've never been a Corey Seager fan. And I just don't know. I think I know where he is. I think he's around well, I'll tell you what my projections think he is. My projections have him at 93 runs, 34 home runs, 95 RBI, 2 stolen bases, and a 292 batting average. That said, if you drafted him 3rd overall, I am not going to blame you. I'm not going to do that. I have him down as my 8th, and that's because there are plenty other players that can give me those couple stolen bases early to help my roster build. Now, if he can hit 35 home runs again, so he hit 33 in 22 and 33 in 23. Now, in 23, he did this in 119 games. So the guy has pop. I just wondered if last year he was a little over the top. So in 2022, he had 33 home runs over 151 games while batting 245. So last year he was able to increase, 0.08 of a point in batting average to a 327, which, if he's running into every pitch, he's going to hit more home runs, right? So, and his doubles went from 24 in 2022 to 42 doubles in 2023. And again, in the less games, that was 32 less games. So I'm going to say this is more of an anomaly. I think he's more of the, let's see, in 2019, that was what they call it, the fun ball, right? Happy fun ball era. He had 44 doubles, but only 20 home runs. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that the power is going to remain there, but he's really found the power over the last couple of years. I'd like to do a little more research on him, see why that has changed. Maybe I'll look at the StatCast to see if this is legit, and I could adjust my projections for him. But again, at the 3rd pick, 19th overall, I'm likely looking elsewhere before I'm taking Corey Seager there. I think I can get just as valuable players behind that pick, from Lindor or De La Cruz. Even I'd take more of a chance on. But De La Cruz is going a little high as well. Bo Bichette would be another one that I think Bo Bichette's probably going to be a better pick in the end of the day. Last year was an anomaly for him. But Corey Seager is a guy that I'm probably not taking at 3rd overall, and I'm just going to let him fall a little bit. Next is Nico Horner, and I talked about him in the second base area. 10 home runs, and what does he have? 30. I can't see. There's something over my screen, but 10 home runs and 9 home runs and 43 stolen bases. Had that 283 batting average. I think the batting average remains the same. He is slated for 2nd in the lineup with Mike Tautman batting ahead of him. Where is he on my list here? Dansby Swanson. Nope, Nico Horner, I said. Nico. I have him for 9 home runs, 32 stolen bases, and that 283 batting average, 78 runs. So his runs are probably going to be up a little bit more than 78. He did not have 989 runs last year. That's a typo. If you're watching on YouTube, he had 98 runs last year. So I would say that he's probably in the mid 80s for runs. So my projections have him at the 11th rated shortstop. I think that's probably, where I'm going to take him. There's a lot of stolen bases out there, and I just don't want to lose out on the power in that, that 50 through 70 draft pick area. It's just not, I just need those. I need those home runs. I need to keep up with the home runs because everybody hits home runs and a lot of people are stealing bases. I just don't know that the stolen base guys are setting us apart. So that is a guy that I am probably fading on, along with Carlos Correa. Where are you, Carlos? Carlos, come to me. I think. All right, Carlos Correa. Yep, he is. I have him down for 21 home runs. No stolen bases. This guy does not steal bases. Last year's 60 runs, 18 home runs, 65 RBI, and no stolen bases to speak of. Carlos just was an off year last year. I'm going to pull up the Twins roster resource here as I'm talking. Carlos is looking to bat fifth, so RBI potential there, limiting his run potential. And again, he doesn't steal bases, so fifth makes total sense. That batting average, last year he hit 262. This is 230. That's a typo, I think. Yep. So I got him for 21, 70, 259. I think 72 runs is probably a little high for my projections. I think the 70 RBI could be a little low, but we'll see how that plays out. The Twins are an interesting lineup. If they all stay healthy, there could be some big things ahead for the Twins, but I'm just not sure that I'm just not sure that Carlos Correa is someone that, he's like the 25th overall right now, and that's probably where I'm going to leave him. Just, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to invest in it. It's just never really taken hold, especially since he moved to Minnesota. Just been going through the motions. Never, in 2021 he had that 26 home runs, 92 RBI, and he's been losing power, losing those RBI opportunity, been kind of dinged up. So I'm just going to avoid Carlos Correa. And then last that we'll talk about is CJ Abrams, another guy right now currently going ninth, and that's primarily based off of his immense stolen base projections, opportunities, and he's just playing on a really bad team. 83 runs last year. I'm not sure that's going to happen this year. I have CJ Abrams, 13 home runs, 34 stolen bases, 70 runs, 52 RBI. That's probably pretty close. Maybe you see another 50 stolen base opportunity for him. 34 seems like a pretty safe number. Washington has nothing to lose, though, so maybe he'll run with reckless abandon. Just another guy that this early in the draft, currently going pick 40. I just don't want to invest in that. I just think that you're cornering yourself. You're losing out on too many other things to get stolen bases at that point. If you have avoided stolen bases, these CJ Abrams and Nico Horner are the guys you're going to fight back with. But keep in mind that if these guys get hurt, you are done. Like, that is it. So that's why I like to invest in those more of the 5-tool players rather than specialty players. All power, or power is different. Power gives you multiple categories. Every home run gives you multiple categories, where stolen bases is for sure one category and could result in runs, but it doesn't. If you're on the Nationals, it doesn't mean you're going to get a run. You're not going to get across the score. So those are my weights for shortstop. Other people, and I'm not going to mention Ha-Seong Kim. I've talked about him in 2 other episodes. Same type of deal where it's all stolen bases. Everything's changing there. Ellie De La Cruz, he's going 23.5 right now, average ADP, 4th overall. Man, you can do it. It might be the best thing you've ever done. He could project out for 20 home runs and 50 stolen bases. It could happen. I'm just really risk adverse in those first couple of rounds. I want guaranteed production. Again, I'm sorry about all the noise there. I thought I turned that off. Other players to speak on quick. Thairo Estrada is another one. I would bump up a little bit. He's currently going as 16th. I'd take him around the 12th as a 12th overall shortstop. Edmund, Story, Adames, Ezekiel Tovar, they're all going around where they need to. Pena, I'm bumping up. Luis Rengifo, Vaughn Grisham really hasn't performed. Maybe it'll be different in Boston, and you could take a shot on him around that 250 overall. I definitely try Grisham ahead of Correa. And then looking down, Ezekiel Duran, if he can carve out some playing time, he's currently going 31st. So in your 15 team with a middle infielder, he'd be a good guy to take at the end. And Ahmad Rosario would be another one that you could chance on. If he finds playing time, he should have great return. Chris Taylor, I just don't know. With being in the Dodgers system, he's just kind of going to be a play everywhere all the time. Javi Baez, could he have a bounce back? Another guy, like with your last pick. If someone else took Leover Peguero, then you could maybe take Javier Baez and chance it. But he's a first drop. He's the first guy you drop. Last guy you pick, first guy you drop type player. I just want to wrap up here with some of the tiering here. First round ish. Bobby Witt, Trey Turner, those make sense. In a 12 team, especially, just to capitalize on that. That shortstop, I think Trey Turner's still going to be okay. He came on and again salvaged this season. It was a rough first half, so head to head, he was a rough goal of it. But if you had just enough firepower with Turner to keep in the hunt, he gave you a decent second half. Second tier, I'm taking out Corey Seager out of that top spot. That's my bias. I will lump him in that second, third round range. Seager, Francisco Lindor, Bo Bichette's probably the first guy I'm going to take in here. Maybe Lindor. Matt McLean's moved up for me. Ellie De La Cruz is a guy that we just talked about. But then Oneil Cruz is a guy that I sneak way up here. I think all of these, Lindor, Bichette, McLean, Ellie, De La Cruz, and Corey Seager can go, and then you could sneak Oneil Cruz at that spot. And then sliding, I think there's going to be a void then in picks for quite a while. You'll probably see there's Ha-Seong Kim go in there, but I don't even have him in my tiers. So let somebody else take him. And then after Ha-Seong Kim goes, you could take yourself, the Nico Horner. Gunnar Henderson's probably gone already by this time as a third baseman, which is fine. But he is shortstop eligible. You got Dansby Swanson, Xander Bogaerts, Nico Horner's in here. That's probably, late fourth to late fifth area. And then, that back end of the tiering here, Story, Edmund, I don't know. They're way down there. I don't know that I want to play with those guys at all. Volpe slides in there. You got your rookies. Maybe Jackson Holiday, if we hear more news, could slide up. I guess Willie Adames could fit in that 4th tier, somewhere in there, but who else would slide down? Then CJ Abrams has to be probably tier 3.5, so I don't do many tiers. This is just something we wanted to throw in and kind of give you an idea on round wise. So this is kind of where I would have them all slated. So that's going to wrap that part up. So, if you liked what you heard today, please give us a subscribe, like this video. You can reach out to Outer Rhythm Fantasy Sports or at Spittingseeds BB on X. We both have Discords. My link is available on my X profile. You could send me an email if you'd like at spittingseedsbb@gmail.com. I'd be happy to take any questions or answer any questions in an upcoming episode that you might have. If you disagree with me, that's fine. Put me on blast on X. I'm happy to talk things through. I have a process I like to stick to. It's been very productive for me over the years. So I think my methods are solid. I'd like to help you out too. If you got any questions about roster build or anything, just reach out to me in any way. Get in the Discords. I like to talk in there, and then everybody can hear. Or if you want to DM me because you don't want everybody to hear, that's fine too. I'm wide open for you, here to serve. So again, like, subscribe at Spittingseeds BB on X, at Outer Rhythm Fant on X. That is all we have for today. I will come back at you maybe next week with some outfield. Probably next week with some outfield. Try to get something done every Wednesday for sure to be put out Wednesday night or Thursday up until baseball starts. And then I'll keep going through the season somehow as I run out of time, but you're all worth it. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this, and I am out.